All righty, we are live.
Good morning, everybody. It's January 13th, 2023.
Friday the 13th.
Friday 13th. It's very auspicious. It's great. Wonderful. Yay. So, the slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We shall persevere until we succeed. So Dan and I were chatting about the call today, and we've come across, we're going to present this in a couple of different ways. He showed Matthew McConaughey showing a little clip about don't half-ass it, give it your all. So we'll start with that, and then obviously some references to Jocko Willink and so on. But then we also want to show you a couple of little videos. So start with
don't half-ass it.
Yeah, let's show that one first.
Well, it never goes out of style. I mean, think about it. If you're gonna do something, you've chosen to do something, whatever, it's easy, hard. If you give it your all, you don't half-ass it. Win, lose, draw, get what you want, don't get what you want, whatever the outcome is, at least you're not gonna have to wonder, would the outcome have been different? What if I did get away? And boy, wondering that is what keeps us up at night.
Absolutely. So that was just something to say, don't half-ass it. In other words, are you all in? When people say, I'm all in, I'm in, what does that mean? You know, it's like saying, are you pregnant or half pregnant? You can't be half pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. And this is something that we've got to look at with the people we work. And there are a whole lot of things here that we have written, or Dan's notes on this part of it, and then I've got others as well. But we choose to work for it. This is a big word. We choose to do it. We're not forced to do this. And if you choose to do something, well, give it your all. If you want to get a result, if you want to really succeed, whatever you choose to do, then put your all into it. Do everything. Give it your whole force.
Yeah, are you giving it everything that you possibly can? Success doesn't just happen. It doesn't randomly happen to people. It's not passive. You actually have to be active in the success that you want to create. You know, it doesn't just happen to certain people. Those people that you, more often than not, that you see, you know, working up the ranks, getting what they want, they choose to work for it. And because of that choice, they succeed, right? And there's a great quote from Jocko Willink: people who are successful decide they are going to be successful. They make that choice. They decide to study hard. They decide to work hard. They decide to be the first person to get to work and the last person to go home. And that comes back, for me, that comes back to sacrifice. You know, what are you willing to sacrifice to give it your all, to not half-ass it? You know, we choose to go do things that we want to do rather than do things that we have set goals for to strive to reach, to be as successful as we want to be. We choose to do those things instead of the tasks that we need to do to be successful. You know, and then, you know, successful leaders, you know, we're all leaders on these calls of our own team. They don't just let things pass them by and do the bare minimum. They make a decision to become a good leader and gain the success they want for themselves. And then they put in the work to get there. And then they help their teammates by creating leaders put in the work to get there. They create those habits within themselves and then transfer them to the other people on their team to help them be successful.
And also leading by example, because once you've established yourself with a good habit and you get into that routine of always doing the right thing, always walking your talk, always having integrity, that brings you credibility. If you've got integrity, you eventually will get credibility, and when you get credibility, you have everything. So just as an example, a silly example, but in my Pilates class, we've got about, I think, 16 people in the class, each class. And a lot of them, you know, clean, after we've done our clean, we clean the bench and whatever we are on and so on. And usually I'm the last one because I'm cleaning everything. And the instructor said to me the other day, she said, you know, you're the most thorough person there is. And I've noticed a couple of people actually following because they're embarrassed to leave early because you're still cleaning. And I said, well, it's leading by example. That's it. It's simple. If you do it right, if you're going to do something, do it right. Even something in a chore like that. It's a grunt work, but do it right.
Yeah, don't half-ass it. Do it right. Do it right the first time, and then it keeps you from doing it. I yell at the kids all the time because they drop their clothes in the front door when they come in, their jackets and everything. And then I tell them to put them away, and they take it halfway to the coat rack and they drop it again. And then I have to yell at them again to pick it up, you know, and I'm like, just do it right the first time. Now I'm going to start using quit half-assing it, you know, and they do it again and again and again. And then they wonder, they're always like, why do you keep yelling at me to do these things? Because you don't do it right the first time. Right. And that's just not kids. It's lots of people. I've seen people do it in their professional life. You know, they do the bare minimum that they need to do to get by, to not be the squeaky wheel that's not going to get them noticed by management or the leaders within the organization. And we're the leaders of our own organizations here. So, you know, if you're half-assing it, if you're not doing it right the first time, the only person that's hurting is you. Right? Because you are the boss. You are the leader of your own organization. So, you know, that comes down to discipline, right? Are you disciplined to not do it half-assed? Do you have those habits in place? Are you disciplined enough to put those habits into work to make sure that you're being successful, that you're not half-assing it? So discipline then equals freedom, right? People often view themselves as passive bystanders to their own life, letting things happen to them. You know, leaders see themselves as active decision makers. Know that the only way to be the master of their own life is to practice self-control and motivate themselves and practice discipline.
Yeah, and the other thing that goes hand in hand with this is if you fail, if you fall, don't give up. That was one of Nathan Ricks's sayings. One of his third thing was never give up. So if you fall, if you fail, get up and be strengthened by it. Have the discipline to be able to try to plug on with what you're doing. Don't give up, because that's a big part of it. So we also want to get into a little bit about the decisions that we make. Pre-COVID, I remember we were having visits to Utah every month. It was a fly-in every single month. And I remember saying to people who might be interested in the business and who were interested in the business, said, look, I don't even care if you get a scanner. You're not going to get it yet. I'm not even going to let you have it unless you go to Utah, unless you go and you see for yourself. So that's a pretty big, bold part on our part to risk somebody not going to do the business. But what we're doing is we're actually sifting and sorting to be able to find who is the leader there, who can we bank on, who is actually going to go all in, who is not going to do this half-assed. Who is not going to be half-assed is the one who goes to, who invests in himself or herself to get to Utah, to go and see what's happening. And that's the first step of not being half-assed. When you've actually taken control of your life, you've invested in yourself, and you've decided you're going to do it, well, then do it right.
100%. You know, and I want to go back, you know, to what you said about failing and failing forward and getting up. You know, Jocko, this is another Jocko Willing quote: "Get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack." You know, if you fall 9 times, you got to get up 10. The only way to succeed is by not giving up. You don't fail when you make an error. You fail when you stay down after making that error. It's really that simple. And then, you know, how do we move these, you know, to your point, how do we move these people forward? Lawrence and John Schwartz and I had a great conversation on Wednesday night about, you know, are we doing this correctly? Are we moving people forward in the right way? You know, and I started to think, you know, you get all excited when you get a prospect on the line. The first thing you want to do is get them, you know, try and get them signed up or get them to fill out the scanner agreement. But that, if you think about it, that's not the way. If you're doing the LinkedIn job postings, that's not the way the normal interview process goes. You don't call somebody and automatically offer them a position, right? So I think we're being a little bit too forward with the way that we're doing that, or at least me, offering somebody a position right out of the gate and getting all excited. And, you know, we need to move them through a process, a series of multiple interviews in the form of 3-way calls. And I've been telling people after that call, I talked to about 10 people yesterday, and I said, look, you need to prove that this is something that you really want to do. And if you're not going to get on you need to get on our team calls and our getting started call for at least a couple of weeks. And then I'm going to introduce you to a couple of my colleagues, and we're a team. We don't want any bad apples. So we make a collective decision on who we're going to add to our team. Right. So, you know, are we doing things correctly? Am I half-assing it in my recruiting process? Probably, because I'm trying to speed up the process, you know, and it's more like the dating process, right? We need to get to know them a little bit. We need to, you know, wine and dine them a little bit with our team call and some 3-way calls. And then we need to try and close them, right? If we're not putting them through a quote unquote normal interview process and offer them the job right away, then it's not something people are going to want. People want what they can't have. And so if you're dangling that carrot and you're not letting them get the carrot for a week or two, and their interest level is still high, then they're probably the right person to join your team.
So with John, what he's actually started to do something. We've been doing for some time already. He says, well, you know, I'm interested. You've got a nice CV. You speak well. You've got good experience and so on. But I'd like you to meet my, he calls me the mentor. I'd like you to meet my mentor to see if you're a right fit and see if he approves. So it's kind of like a game that we're playing. And, you know, usually we'll ask the 3 questions: who are you? How well do you know yourself? And what do you want? This sort of thing. And then John says, well, we'll follow up and we'll discuss it, and then we'll follow up with you. People will come towards you if they have FOMO, fear of missing out. So when we're doing something now, I think you're quite right, Dan, in this half-assed thing, is go the whole mile of making them want it rather than us wanting them to come. That's the big difference that we actually have. We've, excuse me, we always want something for somebody more than they want it for themselves, because we can see, wow, you'd be great at this. Wow. No, we know they'll be great at it if they're engaged, if they're not half-assed in it, if they're not just putting their toe in the water, if they dive in. But we've got to make them want to dive in. You've got to make people want to do whatever it is that we're offering. And if it's not, then it's not for them. That's fine. Excuse me. So that was one of the reasons that initially, before COVID, I think we're going to do this again, to say, well, you know, there's only one way you can get into this. You got to come back, come into to see it. Martin's got his hand up. Is that a defense against your cat or what?
No, actually, I'm sorry. This is Winston. He loves to be on camera. Apologies for that. No, basically, I think it is more than reasonable to position this as an interview, a serious interview.
Yes.
Because, and the reason I say that is, and I think it's perfectly okay to say, look, we're very serious about our recruiting process. And the reason that we are is this is going to call upon us to make a very significant time investment in you. We need to understand your level of commitment and your suitability for this business and your compatibility with our team. We only recruit people who will be compatible, who are courteous, who are decent people, who have integrity. And we want to invest time in that kind of person.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you, and that's how I've been positioning it for a long time. But I've probably been too forward, with people and kind of.
We're all impatient.
Yeah.
And could you just put the other little thing about the Titans on a second, the little video, because this is something that's really cool.
That's 6 minutes long. Do we want to play that?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I need to find it.
We've got 6 minutes. But it's part of it, if you like. The point is that it's about giving it all, and this is something that is a visual that is worthwhile. And it's an impactful little clip.
Give me 1 second. I'm pulling it up right now.
You just okay. So it's and yes, it's about a team. This is what made me think about it, because what Martin said, this is teamwork. You can't have, the team is only as strong as the weakest link. And if we've got some, flimsy people in the thing, we don't want them. I think we lost Dan. Okay. Are we there? Are we still there? Yeah, there it is.
Hear it?
Put the sound up.
Sounds up.
Can't hear it.
I don't know. I don't know why you
There's
can't hear it, but it's playing and the sound's on, so I apologize. We'll just.
That's okay, but I am going to say that I'm already inspired because I know what movie this is from, and I love this scene.
Yeah.
Try to put the sound on, Dan, because it's the doubt at the beginning that causes the whole thing. Do you think we can win?
You know what? I'm going to put it in the chat since it wasn't working.
Right, put it in the chat. That's fine. And the whole point of this little clip was the doubt of one of the team. Well, I don't think we're going to be playing, and I don't think we're going to be able to win. And it's about finding the leader and really pushing that leader to show what he's got. Give me all you got, and to make it so that everybody can see and say, oh my gosh, whoa, look what he's just done. Whoa, maybe we can do it too. It's showing by example, showing the leadership, showing and motivating the team to work as a team and get everybody motivated. And it's a really, really powerful clip.
But you say that word motivation. Motivation's great, but motivation isn't going to get you through those days when you don't feel like doing things. When you wake up in the morning and you say, I did this for 10 hours yesterday. Can I do it? I don't want to do it today. I get rejected 15 times today. Do I want to be rejected today? The only thing that's going to get you through those times is discipline.
Yes.
Don't count on motivation. This is a Jocko Willink thing. Don't count on motivation, count on discipline, right? So, you can't just sit back in those hard moments of being unmotivated, because time doesn't wait for anybody, right? You need to be that person that's disciplined to continue driving forward, even when you have those failures, when you don't feel motivated. So don't rely on motivation, rely on the discipline that you've created and those habits that you've created. But you need to get started. You can't just think, you can't just talk, you can't just dream. None of that really matters. The only thing that really matters is that you get your hands dirty. You start doing something. You can't just sit there, be afraid of fear, or, most people don't get started, or they don't get serious, or they half-ass things because they're fear of failure. right? You need to get past that fear of failure to the point where you're disciplined enough to just do what you need to do to reach those goals and the level of success that you deserve because of the work that you're putting in.
When the fear of failure on the people we're interviewing, then the onus comes on us to be able to make them feel and know that we have something that they can do if they follow the system and they follow a system that is proven. And we can show them the way to overcome their fear of failure and by showing that we have the successful formulas. We have formulas for success.
Yeah.
Are we all on time already? Does anybody have any addition or anything you want to add or anything like that, Dan, unless you've got something else you want to say?
I think I've said my piece today.
I'd like to make a quick comment, if I may. Getting back to the recruiting process, I'll tell you a real quick story. When I first got into med, it was with the largest orthopedic distributor in the Southeast. It was a 6-week, 10-person interviewing process. And at the end of the 6 weeks, I'm riding with my primary manager. I actually had 2 managers because of the geography I was covering. I'm driving with them and I'm telling them how excited I was. And I said, you know, I really want this job and I think I'm a good fit. And I think this is a great fit for me. And I want this job. What do I need to do to get this job? And Frank turned to me in his pickup truck and he goes, that was it. He had to ask for it. We were waiting for you to close us.
Good.
And I think one problem we have right now, and you guys have been talking all the way around it, is that we're sitting on one of the most innovative medical companies out there. We have, in addition to that, and our validation and our science and you know the personal impact these products have had. We have DNA AI coming down the pipeline. We have the most innovative, comprehensive aesthetic product line on the market. And we're begging people to come work for us. I think we need to really flip this whole thing around. And like Dan and Lawrence are talking about, run your prospects through at least 2 or 3 people and drill down on how badly this person wants it. Because Lawrence and I have both experienced in the last 2 weeks the work that's being done by people that are half-assing it. And, you know, and I listen, I've raised my hand. I've got a lot of work I've got to do. I'm not trying to judge anybody here, but do you really want people on your team who are going to be putting the least amount of effort into this thing and really don't appreciate what a unique opportunity this is? So I would strongly recommend you wait until somebody closes you. You get to the point where they want this so badly that they'll fight for it. And anything less than that, I think, really is a discredit to you and your time and this company.
Well, they're not going to respect your time and the time that you're investing in them. You know, if you go out and you offer them the job right away or the position right away, right? Because it doesn't mean anything to them. You know, if you position it like John says in the chat, you know, we don't want to chase people. They should be chasing us. People want what they can't have. We need to know if they're going to bring value to our team and what's that value, because we know that we're going to be bringing value to them in this business opportunity with what we've learned about this business, how to educate people on it and how to move people forward, you know, and we're going to do that same thing with them. I've invested a ton of time in people who ended up, you know, half-assing it, like you're saying, Kevin, and it is a complete waste of time other than the fact of what I learned from it. You know, you learn something from every situation, but, you know, the ultimate goal here is to find really good people who are motivated, but more importantly, that they're disciplined, because that motivation is not what's going to carry you through. It's like discipline.
Well, think how, I don't mean to belabor this point, but think of the wisdom and the hard knocks learning you and Mike and Lawrence and everybody, John. I mean the onboarding that John has been doing, and I know that's all trial and error because I knew where onboarding was a year ago. And I know, John, it's a team effort. You've got Lawrence and Dan and all of us involved, but the way that you put that together is amazing. You took it from something that was very haphazard to a very refined professional program. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So how valuable is John's time? I mean, all the time he's invested in this thing. And I just think that if we don't start being much more diligent in the screening process and bringing the right people on, we want to build a base, but what type of base do you want to build? Do you want to build a base on sand or you want to build it on bedrock? And so I really think that we need to respect ourselves enough to ask like-minded people to join our team.
100%. Great points. Great points, Kevin. And John, what John's put together with our Getting Started program, it's priceless. I mean, I say it all the time on that. It's a masterclass in getting started with what we're doing.
And even there, it's about the discipline, the persistence, the perseverance of John sticking to what he's showing. And at times there was maybe one or two people on the call. And then now even Dan and Mike, myself are in awe and impressed with what has developed from there, because it's a persistence, it's a discipline of what you believe, what you are, and how you behave and lead by example. And that's basically what it is. There's a real typical case of how it should be done. Discipline, perseverance, hard work, focus, and passion.
Any questions? Any comments? Any additional words of wisdom?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, that this is a great call today, guys, as always, and acknowledge what John's doing and what all the leaders have done. And what we've developed is like a institute of learning for the scanner program. And for someone to be accepted to that should be like getting accepted to a higher institution of learning, university, Harvard, Yale, or something like that. They don't accept the people they know are going to wash out. So, we have to keep that in mind, that it doesn't do any good to waste our time with someone that doesn't have the fortitude or whatever to move forward with this. So that's I think that this message today is fantastic. Really do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Are you going to Costa Rica now? You on your way there?
No, I leave in the morning. In the morning. Thank you.
Anybody else got anything before so we wind it up? Anybody want anything else to say?
It was remiss. I also need to thank Mike Cook for his incredible contribution on the financials aspect, on the pitch. I mean, on and on and on. What an invaluable member of the team. And I was remiss. And actually, Mike is co-hosting my team call today. So it was really kind of a numbskull move on my part. But thanks for everything you do, Mike.
It's my pleasure, Kevin. My pleasure.
There's a love fest going on. That's fine. That's good stuff.
I want in on it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys and gals. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see everybody again next Friday, and enjoy your weekends.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you too.
Ladies. Thank you.